I just spent 5 minutes talking about nonsense about this game, only to realize my mic was muted. Anyway. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a better day than I am. I'm just here to talk about For Honor 2 while you've got some of my gameplay going on in the background. Not that it's out, but For Honor's been out for 10 years nearly. It's going into its 10th year soon. It's unreal. You know, and I'm thinking about For Honor 2 and what can be done, what can be implemented, how it could be done. I don't know. Just listen and hopefully it'll make sense soon. The first thing is maybe they could add dual executions. Like they got dual emotes, co-op emotes, I don't know what they're called, paired emotes, paired executions. It could start off as like a solo execution and your teammate could join in and you could split the health pool or something, I don't know. That might be a bit annoying if you're trying to get the full health for yourself, but if you're in like a gank team fight on one of the objectives and you need to get health quickly, it could be beneficial for you both to get 25 health, then one of you get 50. I don't know. It could be done. Could be quite interesting. Another thing that I would also think is quite cool is to do with hyper armor. There's this game called Absolver, and they have hyper armor in that game, and the way you break the hyper armor in that game is not with a bash, but with a double attack. So if you're hit twice during the hyper armor, you would get knocked out of the hyper armor. The second hit would put you in hit stun. Collider from the future here. I just want to say that there's also an attack in Absolver, which is another fighting game, which I'm talking about right now in this freaking video. I don't know what I just... Anyway, it's like a charge, not a charge, it's like a powerful... It acts as a bash. It totally breaks hyper armor in the game. That is just one attack, but it's a very slow attack. So, you know, it's not really going to land. It's a very telegraphed attack. But that could also break hyper armor. And there's also another system in the game, Absolver, where high and low attacks exist. Meaning, if you go for a high spinning whip kick, like think of Shinobi's like push after guard break, his throw rather, does a spinning whip kick to the head. Someone like Zanhu could do a zone attack and it would completely miss, the spinning whip kick would miss Zanhu and the sword would hit Shinobi. Or Gladiator's toe stab, for example. That is a toe stab that can still get Shinobi while he's in midair. It doesn't make sense, but with this sort of system, Shinobi could be safe from the toe stab and then punish Gladiator. There could be heaps of characters, different characters implemented in different ways. You know, it could be very interesting. I wouldn't ever, you know, go too far with that. But it could exist. Just have a look at Absolver and you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, back to your video. We're talking about hyper armor, just so you're aware. I don't know how well that would work in team fights. That would be quite annoying, especially to do with revenge. I guess that's super armor, so it's a little bit different. They have Orochi and Shinobi has like a double attack, so does Warden. Someone else probably does as well. They do a double attack, the second attack is guaranteed. Maybe that could be the breaking point of the hyper armor? Just that attack specifically, just the double attacks? Don't know. It'd be interesting. Another thing is to do with game modes like, I don't know, Breach. Breach is a good game mode, but it's way too long. You gotta invest like 40 minutes into that. If they do half of Breach, where it's just 2 objectives that you push to and knock down the gates, that could be a bit better because it's not as time consuming, and it's still quite fun. And there's less chance to get kicked from the server. I think that's it. There's also like map voting. They need to add a way, like I forget which game it is, but there's a game where you can vote for a map which also votes for a game mode. I think that's Call of Duty. Yeah, it is. It's Call of Duty. That could revive the dead game modes just by putting everything into one searching lobby and then playing different game modes in that lobby. You know, it's still 4v4s. It starts off as a 1v1, but that's deathmatch. You know, I reckon that could be quite the accomplishment. Another thing is the factions. They could play that out better. Not better, but one of the big selling points of For Honor was how it's a faction. You know, you'd have factions, samurai, Vikings, knights, and they don't really do much anymore. They're just sort of to do fashion. Like knights are going to dress like knights, samurai are going to dress like samurai. You know, but they could make it. You get some sort of bonus if you're all playing like a samurai. If you're all samurai, all four of you are samurai, maybe you get like a special 5th feat that gives you damage debuff or attack buff. I don't know. Makes their team comp a bit better in some way. It could work. Even like in Marvel Rivals, you get special, what are they called? Team ups. Certain characters can work well with other characters. They could even add that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'd be curious. Anyway, have fun. See you later. Bye.